மீடியா உங்கள் கனவா? படிக்கும் அனைவருக்கும் இன்டர்ன்ஷிப், பிளேஸ்மெண்ட் அசிஸ்டன்ஸ். பாண்டே ஸ்கூல் ஆஃப் ஜர்னலிசம் ஷார்ட் டேர்ம் கோர்ஸில் உடனே சேர 7338824242.
தினம்தோறும் விளக்கேற்ற நல்ல எண்ணெய் இதயம் நல்லெண்ணெய்.
President, I said, what is the composition of the audience? So he said quite a good percentage are from outside BJP. So that is what actually we were looking for. Because I don't wish to talk to you as a BJP man talking to a BJP man. So let me talk to you as another social media activist talking to another social media activist, or one citizen talking to the other. And it will be easier to communicate also because I was telling Annamalaiji, sometimes in public addresses I have to take his help in translation, though I have lived in Madras for many years, but my Tamil is kunjo pesa, but not thoroughly. So the Tamil I learned was mostly from MGR movies. And though Shivaji Ganesan, he was seen to be a more serious actor those days. So my Tamil I have picked up from movies, so you can understand there may be some phrases which may not be usable in public meetings. That's why I was asking him. See, the point is why I said we should be talking as non-BJP people to non-BJP citizens is that today we have more than 70% population which is below the age of 40. And more than 80% which is below the age of 30. When I was a young voter, we were told that during election time, you must early morning go to the park. They would give us some SOPs. Go to the park, touch the feet of some retired headmaster. Then some elderly grandfather, so that he goes home and tells that you vote for him. He came, touched my feet. I told my party about 5-6 years back, before the last election, I said the politician is moving slow, the voter is moving faster. So, they said, what do you mean? I said, no, the politician seems to be still trying the tricks of the last election, whereas the voter has moved on to the next election. So they said, what is your experience on what basis? I said, nowadays, if I go and tell a grandfather that you go and tell your grandson to vote for me, sure the grandson will not vote. The formula is reversed. He will tell, Grandpa, you don't know, such a wicked person. You sit at home and you have no knowledge, see the social media and you will know what kind of trolling he faces whole day. And the whole opinion will go haywire. So coming to the subject that we were talking about, today you have to go by evidence. Gone are the days when I say something and it will be accepted. You have to argue it out. Either you convince me or I convince you. At home you have seen you can't even convince your children. So if your child is also not ready to listen to you and agree with you without evidence, how do you expect a voter will agree? The other day, a few years back, I had a very old senior person who used to be our supporter. He is no longer in the world today. He came to me, I said, you look upset. He said, no, I had a problem, but I have sorted it out. Problem in the family. That will also, because we are also a family, when you go asking for support. So I said, what was the problem? He said, my son wanted to marry a particular girl, like it happens these days. So we thought it would not make any sense arguing. He said, okay, go ahead, he and his wife. But he says, my old mother, she says, I will leave the house. The grandmother, the old lady. So he says this issue went on for 2-3 months. Then finally one day I made the old lady sit. She was from good old times, from British times, when Madras was Madras, not Chennai. And it was a big state, undivided. So he says, Amma, have you heard of governor? She says, yes, very big man. Those days, governor, there used to be a governor. Madras had a governor. So he says, you are also a governor, but governor in the Indian government. Every card will go in your name. His Excellency Governor invites you. But the choice of function, the design of function will be decided by the Chief Minister. So, if you want to maintain your position as governor, you don't get into this issue. Let these children marry. Otherwise, tomorrow it may happen that you may not be able to prepare a card also. So they will get married, but you will no longer be governor to send a card of invitation. So he said, so like that, what I am trying to say is that nowadays you cannot say that since I spoke very beautifully, like earlier times, you had some leaders, even from Tamil Nadu, great orators, and people would vote only for their portrait. Because once Anna Duraiji once said that where you can't go for campaigning, just send MGR's portrait. You will get the vote. Oh, this is a known fact. See, Anna Durai was used to say. This doesn't work now. That is why all this exercise. Otherwise, you could have also sent a portrait here. But it doesn't work. You have to invite them and argue. So we should go out to the people and argue with them. Create our own narrative. Tell us now, in the last 9 years, we have Prime Minister Modi. What is the change now? What was it before? I am not talking as BJP man. You also don't support me just because I am BJP. I have come. You tell me if there is another alternative, we'll go for that. Try to figure it out like that. Before 2014, there was so much of disillusionment in the country. Our youngsters wanted to go out of country. Now they have, all those who went that time are willing to come back. Not because they are BJP supporters, but they find a change. They are not so innocent or foolish that since the BJP is inviting them or any party is inviting, they see that their stakes are now here. This is how you have to, if we do not create a narrative, then those who are not comfortable with a developing India, they will create their own narrative. Because there are certain elements in public life, also in politics, which thrive in mayhem. If there is disorder, if there is lack of rule of land, if there is confusion, their politics sells. Because they don't have a base. So often what happens is some of us, we become reactive. If somebody abuses me, whole day I spend replying to him. So other people feel entertained, but it doesn't help me. I have wasted my time and energy. So why do I not create my own narrative? And to create narrative with evidence, we have to study. You have to be updated, and we will provide you all the material also. What was it before 2014? What was it now? And if it could happen before 2014, why not now? Now for our youngsters, because we have to address the younger lot. Before 2014, in India, nobody had heard the name of startup. I don't know how many of this room, if you ask yourself honestly, did you know what is startup? Prime Minister spoke from Red Fort, Startup India, Stand Up India. Even that day, people were asking, what is this? Today, within 9 years, we have 1 lakh startups, 115 unicorns, youngsters, mostly from South Indian states. Out of them, almost 30-35% women-led unicorns. 1 billion asset, and that too women. I was selling in the morning. Stop saying encourage women participation. That sounds little patronizing. You say woman is leading, allow me to participate. It has turned other way. Most of our missions here, Gaganyaan mission, most of the scientific missions are being led by women. India has moved on from women participation to women leadership. And they are all young women and first generation women. It is not by lineage. Earlier on, many years ago, I said you talk of women liberation and women empowerment in the Indian subcontinent. But have you realized maximum number of prime ministers and presidents among women have been from Indian subcontinent? So not to clap, because that's not a compliment. I'll tell you why. I said because they are from lineage. Indira Gandhi because daughter of somebody. Sri Mama Bandara Naika because widow of somebody. Benazir because daughter of somebody. Khalida Zia because widow of somebody. And still the women are not empowered, but because we were following a feudal system. Now we have first generation women. Even from Madras. You have this girl called Gopi, Geeta Gopinathan. Absolutely first generation. Problem is, if we learn to celebrate the members in our own family, then we'll realize the worth, and that we'll realize what has the difference now happened in the last 1 decade. Now this girl was doing her economics, wanted to go for PhD. Her father is retired from, I think, railways. She could not afford. She went to Washington University because Washington University doesn't, they waive off fee or something for meritorious students. In the Washington University, her guide notices her writes to Harvard University, his colleague, that I have received a candidate who comes once in 25 years. She deserves a better university, so you please take her. And that is how she went to Harvard. Today, she is head of the International Monetary Fund. So these are first generations. We have such a huge talent among our youth, but they were not getting an enabling atmosphere because of nepotism, because of corruption, because of so many other factors, family reasons. The other day I was telling some of you, I know whether you might have seen also, I said sometimes it is disgusting to see the picture of Vikram Sarabhai, who was originally from Gujarat, worked in Bangalore, died in Trivandrum, carrying launcher of that satellite on the carrier of a bicycle. Such primitive resources these young scientists they had. World-class scientific brain. So that is the difference. Prime Minister Modi in 9 years opened space to private sector. Today we have 150 startups working with ISRO in Bangalore. We have private startup groups. You might have seen in television that Skyroot launching their private sector. And USA, UK, or at least USSR, then USSR, now Russia, which were many years ahead of us in space technology, are now using our launching pad to launch their satellite, and they are paying us. From USA itself, so far we have earned almost $59-60 million by launching their satellite. That means we have a caliber which is no less than anyone else, is better than them. But we didn't have that kind of enabling atmosphere. We didn't have that kind of infrastructure. This is what is to be argued out with our youngsters. Now we are number 3 in startup in the world. And I noticed that even in the foreign countries, the startup growth, they prefer Indian boys and girls. I asked them, give me some reasons why. Out of my own curiosity, I try to learn one new thing every day. So they told me 1, 2, 3, 4. Last they said, one more thing. They don't take an off or holiday on weekend. because our boys and girls disappear on Friday. Because they are hardworking also. They are groomed like that. Our culture is different. Over there on Friday afternoon, the boy tells his parents, okay, Mama, Papa, I will see you on Monday morning. Where I am going, you don't ask, and where I am going, I will not tell you. So no work, only hug. The world has started realizing India's strength. If I go into figures whole day, it will take. We have to but go with statistics. We had only 74 airports in India till 2014. Today we have 148, double. After this is to be seen. It's not that imaginary figure. So we created narrative. If somebody wants to check, he can check. Today I cannot tell a lie. Before I complete the sentence, the boy sitting there presses Google, checks whether I am telling a lie or not. We had just about 145 government sector medical colleges. We have added on more than 269 years, more than what we didn't say. All this for youth. We had 7 aims in 70 years, 15 aims added in 9 years. About 300 new government universities added on in 9 years. So that any child who has the caliber should not feel deprived because of less of access to education. Education which is accessible, affordable and available. Because we were not opening government universities, so there was mushrooming of private universities. And many of these children who came from families which cannot afford were depriving themselves. And similarly, if you see the infrastructure, the way in which infrastructure development has happened, because that also gives avenues of employment, livelihood. When our metro program started, before 2014, per month the rate of construction was 60 meters. Only 60 meter rail track being laid. Today it is, 600 meters. Today it is 60 kilometers. Because Prime Minister was personally monitoring every department. He was also perfectionist, also checking pilferage happening. These new provisions started like direct benefit transfer. Interviews were abolished. Otherwise, your son gets 100% in return, my gets 5. But I give your son 5 in interview and my son 100. So my son gets the job, you don't get. The minister's son gets the job. The collector's son gets the job. The secretary's son gets it. Now that will not happen. We have made interview only qualifying. Suppose you want to become a government driver, you have to just see the skill, whether you can drive or no marks, so that no nepotism. And all these reforms, this is what we have to go and make. We can create a narrative every day by means of infographics, by means of videos, by means of versions of these persons who have been benefited. The government came in 2014 May. Within 3 months, by September, decision was taken that we will no longer ask anybody to get his certificates attested by the gazetted officer. Earlier on, what happened? When I was also in class 10, 11, we didn't know where to find gazetted officer. We thought he may be some different creature with 3 eyes, 2 ears, 4 noses. How does it look? Because there was no. And in class 11, somebody came and asked me, give me 5 rupees, I'll get all your certificates. That too I didn't have somebody give for me. When we told this to Prime Minister Modi, he said, finish it off. And a message was sent that, look here, this is a Prime Minister, this is a government which has the capacity to trust the youth of this country. This we have to do. All these reforms have a huge socio-economic impact. If I am running a family, I don't trust my son, don't trust my daughter, then how am I going to run the family? And if they are not trustworthy, then the fault lies with me. I have not brought them up properly. So, he's saying we'll have more of an interactive also. Yes. So I will like you to invite some of your observations and we'll proceed in that direction. Because earlier also I thought we would have more of an interactive because one way this discourse is no longer in fashion.
நம்முடைய அமைச்சர் அவர்கள் 5:15 இங்கே இருந்து அவர் ஏர்போர்ட் செல்ல இருக்கின்ற காரணம் ஒரு விமானத்தை பிடித்து டெல்லி செல்ல வேண்டும். நமக்கு 20 நிமிஷம் இருக்கு. அவர்கிட்ட இன்டராக்ஷன் உங்களுக்கு கேள்விகள் இருக்கு அப்படின்னா தயவு செஞ்சு நீங்க எந்திரிச்சு உங்களை அறிமுகப்படுத்திக் கொண்டு கேள்வியை கேளுங்க. மைக் உங்களுடைய இடத்துக்கே வரும். நம்முடைய வாலண்டியர்ஸ் இருக்காங்க. தேங்க்யூ.
Honorable Minister, Namaste. I'm JVC Sriram from Hyderabad. Tamil Nadu has got the maximum benefit of Mudra loans. But unfortunately, is there a mechanism where we reach out to those beneficiaries? Because what we are seeing in south of India is, I've got all the benefits. I've got my Jal Jeevan, I've got my house through PM Awas Yojana, I've got Mudra loan. But my vote is not going to be based on what I got. My vote is going to be based on what I'm going to get on the day of voting or the day before voting. So how do you change this narrative south of India?
No, I agree with you. Part A, we must reach out. We are doing that. The party is also doing that. Annamalai is unit also. And we were discussing this morning, we should prepare videos in there because we have about almost 5 crore households already benefited by Mudra. Beautiful, 23 lakh crore already distributed. So that is one thing. So that not only for publicity, but also the others can be made aware that they can also avail of this. A beautiful loan scheme where you don't have to give gratuity, no guarantee. For a limited amount, you don't even pay. It is like parents giving their son or daughter some money, go and start your business. The other part is day before and day. That will also, that happened because the earlier governments and earlier parties always played vote bank politics. Modi has also tried to change the culture. This will happen in 3 generations. In our scriptures they say, sanskar changes on the 3rd generation. The 2nd generation is now come. You see what happened. I'll give you a small example. I was telling in the morning. This airports double why? Because they were open where they were required. Like for example in Northeast, Sikkim did not have a airport. The biggest tourist destination, but no airport. Because no vote from there. One MP can neither make the government. Arunachal Pradesh, the northern eastern, last end of Northeast, China border. War was fought there. No airport. Itanagar airport. Why? Because it can, they say, the road to power to Delhi is via Lucknow. So no need to go to. Modi changed that culture. That is why these airports have come. I was telling them about 7 years back, 6 years back, Israeli ambassador said we have a latest technology of citrus fruit park. So we said, where do you wish to put it up? He said, Mizoram. Now Mizoram is a population less than Mylapore. Just 8-9 lakh. Not even million. One MP, that to other party. Mizo Nationalist Front is a totally 100% Christian state. No role in government formation or even government dismantling. But the center of excellence first in Indian subcontinent was set up there. So a message has been sought to be sent out that look here, we will reach out where we are required. We will fulfill the requirement where it is required. We will be there with you till the last man in the last queue. Now it is up to you to decide. That is the narrative we have to argue with the children. We say now, do you want to go for vote for what has been given on the night before or the morning after? Or you want to follow this culture? And I'm sure people are gradually getting convinced because the earlier generation was conditioned by that mindset. Look at aspirational district, a new experiment. District not called backward, based on the parameters, scientifically, education, health, connectivity, dashboard is made where the district shall vis-a-vis state, vis-a-vis the national level, that district of the parameter. I was part of that team which did the list. Next morning, I started receiving calls from my own constituency. What is this? Sitting in Delhi, could not even include one district from your constituency. So I had to explain to them, look here, now this is a new culture. Earlier on, anybody who became minister declared his district as backward district, so that children will get admission jobs. Anybody became rail minister, opened a railway station in his village even when there was no passenger. I said, now Modi will not allow this to happen. We have to follow a new culture. And children are the ones, because they are raw, they are naive, they have not seen the sins of the past. Those who have got used to the misappropriations of the past and become habitual, they will be finding it difficult to give up. But those who are new will certainly appreciate.
Good evening. I am Sugobanam. We are seeing BJP government, Best Janata Party government, from 2014. Our Honorable Prime Minister doing the best ruling of the world. We want to have such a corruptionless best ruling in Tamil Nadu in 2026. In 2024, we want to get all seats of MP. 2026, we want to get all MLA seats. What we need to do? Tell me. Thank you, sir.
You need to do all that I was talking about in the last 20 minutes. Reaching out to people, arguing out to them, taking them in their language and engaging them. Ask them to argue with you.